create this solution and then probably begin to learn, from our own comfort, right? So this is basically the interface of the application, right? We have the core functions. The core functions are basically finance, sales, purchasing, and inventory. Today, many of our organizations, no matter even if it is an IT firm, we should have a finance team, right? We should have a sales team, right? We have a purchasing procurement team, the inventory team. So all of these guys, they are using this centralized application. And then we would also be seeing how they can leverage AI, to ensure that their processes are more, automated and streamlined. However, there are also advanced capabilities within organization where we have, warehouse management, service management, project management and manufacturing, right? So at my right hand there, this is just an architecture of the whole thing, right? Much as I've said earlier. Um, excuse me, please. All right. Sorry about that, please. Okay, so we have this ERP solution, sitting at the central. The Teams, Microsoft 365, everything is embedded within it. Because you can use, single sign-on authentication to interfere with the whole application. And then, like I said, you can build your, low-code applications, all these HR assistants, leave management, sending, birthday and all of that, because it can be your, database. Then Power BI is also integral into this, as all of these data that are residing within the application can be leveraged and then projected to the end users in forms of analytics, right? I also mentioned that it is built on Azure, right? In fact, the whole infrastructure is built on Azure. The database is Azure SQL. We have so many other storage facilities that are Azure, blob storage and many other infrastructures that are there. So essentially, when we talk about identity, security management, and compliance, everything is being managed from the Azure perspective. So which makes sense that Copilot is also sitting on Azure. Power BI is sitting on, on Microsoft Azure and many other, Power Platform, Dataverse, and, all these solutions are interconnected. So moving on, the development and administration part of this application is, if you want to extend the application, like I said, you can use it, using Microsoft Copilot. You can use, Power Platform. You can also use this native, application language to do that, using Visual Studio Code. As consultants, right? We can also, manage trials, subscriptions, system setup by ourselves. All of these things are simple for us to do. Excuse me. And then, as our development practices, we can definitely follow, rules, guidelines for, AL coding, Copilot extension coding, and many other things that I'll share with us during the course of the demo. So basically, the focal point of my, demonstration today will be based on AI features within this, because the objective is we need to know what is the impact that AI has done in our business. How can AI, how can Copilot, help us achieve our business goals, right? If we look at the image here, this is just a screenshot of how some of the capabilities that have been built within this application in terms of how we can have a chat support, right? Think of this chat support like, bots, right? Virtual agents that you can talk to and then query the system to give you some data. You can analyze, some of the data you have there. It has AI capabilities to analyze data, document numbering, sales and marketing, for generating test suggestions and sales lines, bank account reconciliation for some of our finance accounting departments, to use to manage their day-to-day account reconciliation. So these are just few things that I plan to showcase to us today. But if time permits, we may go further. And then if time do not permit, wherever we stop, I believe this can be a stepping stone to our future discussion. So let's quickly dive into the demo. All right. If I go to my application. Okay. So this is the application that I'm talking about, right? The name of the application is the Dynamics 365 Business Central. Today, many of us are familiar with the Dynamics 365, application. It will be Dynamics 365 CRM, which has, sales, marketing, customer insights, and then field service and many other things, right? We also have an ERP part of it, which is Business Central, finance, supply chain, human resources, commerce, and all of that. One unique thing that binds all of these together is ability to leverage, AI Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, for them to execute their day-to-day, activities. Permit me to quickly, run you through this interface so that first of all, we have a good grasp of, how the business is being formed, right? How the business is being managed before we can now be talking about, use cases of how AI can automate some of these, activity. So if I go to my summary page here, explore more roles, all right? So at a high level, right, we are able to see, let me show something. Okay, if you look at under system administration, right, we're able to see the Copilot, right? Copilot and AI capabilities. So that is exactly what I show us from that image. But as time goes on, I'm going to, tell us more about it. We are also able to see Power BI, right? That is also one of the intelligent things that Microsoft has done. My other colleagues have presented so much about Power BI, how you can, bring in data, how you can, model it, how you can build it on desktop, and how you can publish it to your services. But at the end of the day, right, what would be the business sense of it? Where would the end users, how would they be able to consume all of this report, right? I'm going to be showing us, some of the use cases and how, all of this report can be shown from the user's dashboard, particularly using this application. If you also see, you will see that across all of these business areas, from the finance, everything has its own what? Power BI report, right? You can see how robust, the number of reports that comes out of, even out of the box, from finance and then up to the inventory valuation, right? If I also go to inventory and warehouse, we will see a number of reports that are there. We are able to see the Microsoft Copilot here in Teams, Outlook and Exchange, OneDrive for business. So this naturally shows us that there is no business today if you don't use AI. If it is not connected to, Power Platform, such business is not going to, get the maximum return or benefit, right? So let's dive into it. Going to the Copilot capabilities of this application. So going to the Copilot capabilities of this application, right now, these are things that Microsoft has done, right? But does that mean we as a developer, we are not able to extend the capabilities we have? I'm going to show us some of the useful, resources, even though we might not be able to extend anything because of time today. I know that time in Nigeria is around 9 p.m. thereabouts. And people have, we've stayed on this call for far too long. But then again, we'll be able to see how we can leverage all of this, even some of them, how we can use the chat assistance, how we can analyze the reports, number series suggestions, e-document matching, sales line suggestions, all of these guys, how the businesses can be, improved better. All right. So let's talk about charts, AI chat assistants. If we look at this guy, right, we would see that automatically, imagine that you are in front of your CFO in your organization, and then you are actually leveraging this business management solution, right? And your CFO says, I'm unable to locate some functions that I need to do, or your sales department calls you as their consultant to say, I'm looking for some of the orders that we have shipped, but unfortunately I'm not able to do that. So what you can do is to use the copilot to query the system. These are the prompts that you can use. You can use the find prompt. You can use explain and guide. For instance, if you need to let the system explain some of the certain processes that you don't even understand as a business owner, the system is going to query a lot of resources on Microsoft Learn. It's going to query resources on some of the publications that partners, consultants, MVPs, a lot of people have done online, right? And it's going to present to you in an itemized way at which you can understand, digest, and be able to, do your work. You can ask any questions as far as your functions are concerned. So let's take a look at how we can use the find prompt, right? If I say look up for sales order belonging to a customer, Adatum Corporation. Yes, enter. So because the AI that has been built into the system, Microsoft Copilot, is going to query the system, as we can see, it's getting information. If the information is there within the application, it will return quite a lot of related records for you. But if the system is, if the records are not there, it will provide alternatives. So let's look at the result of this. All right, so the system has queried the system to see that for Hadatum Corporation, who is one of the customers that this company, Kronos USA, has, they have like 3 sales orders, right? And then it is able to give us the summary of all the orders, right? And if we need to specifically drill down into, for us to see all of these orders that are there, we can simply click on the sales order page, and then the system is going to give us all the sales orders that belongs to Adatum Corporation. And then if you really know the order number, right, you can simply click on the order number and then use it to go ahead with your application. So that is basically how we can use the lookup to query the system, and how the system can give us the precise information that we need. All right, so you could also use other prompts, like if you need help, right? Help me understand. I really do not know how to create a customer. Help me understand how to register a customer on this system. Imagine that I am a new user, right? I've just joined this Kronos organization. I really do not even know what to do, right? You can tell the system to show you the way, and then the system is going to show you exactly what you need to do. So let's query the system and see the impact of what this copilot is going to do. All right, so we can see the suggestions, right? To register a new company in Business Central, follow this step. If we look at it, we will see that there are 2, Microsoft resources that the AI leverages, right? It gives us the detail step on how we can go about it, choose the light bulb, which is this light bulb, tell me the feature icon on the customer page, do this, do that, do this, do that, up to the end. So the customer is now registered and the customer card is ready to be used on your sales document. So this is one of the, useful, business case at which, Copilot can be used, right, for any organization. One takeaway on this is, for us as a consultant, right, we may start looking for how to incorporate this Copilot across all of the business functions. For instance, if our organization today is using Copilot and we're having to work with a company that are using Business Central, right, we will be able to tell that, yes, I've seen it somewhere. The Copilot can definitely assist you to do, all of that. So that is one of the use cases. The second thing that I would like to also talk about is the analysis, right? I know as BI consultant, right? One of our work is to ensure that, analytics are well presented to our, customers in such a way that they understand what they need to do, and then they are able to use the system in a way that would ensure their business, move forward. So let me use this customer ledger entries as a case study. For some of us that are not aware or that are not that do not know what customer ledger entry means, it is one of those things that finance and accountants, right? When customer pays, or when you sell some of the services that you're doing to your customer, of course, you issue them an invoice, right? Where you register all of these customers' transactions is known as the customer ledger entry. Imagine you have quite a lot of records. A typical company can have like 10,000 records. They can have, depending on their volume of transactions. Now, if you now need to filter or you need to analyze the system to say, I need a customer whose invoices are overdue by certain date. In the legacy application or in those days when AI has not, we have not even been using AI, it is quite a very cumbersome in processes for some of these CFO to do, some of these financial manager to do, even some of the salespeople to do, right? So what they do is naturally spool it to Excel and begin to do the manual sorting. But with the use of AI, particularly in this business management solution, they are able to, use it to analyze. So if I go and say, analyze this list, I'll just type a simple prompt there. I need you to show me customers or invoices, or show me list of transaction records whose invoices are overdue. All right, overdue. If you click on generate, the system is going to show you just, if the prompt is right, it's going to show you all the invoices that are overdue, and all of these invoices are overdue for, Ready Cloud, for Alpine Sky, for School of Fine Arts. All of these are customer. Are they overdue? Yes, right? The due date, we're able to see the due date and the documents number. But do we have the amount here? We don't really have the amount. We don't know the amount that is even being owed by our customer. How can we show it to our financial manager to say that, okay, all of these are the amounts that are being owed? We then simply say, show me the amounts overdue, or the remaining amounts. We're able to see that the remaining amount comes up, right? If I also want to, filter to just show me record for only one customer, show me records for Ready Cloud. All right. See, so that is the power of AI. In those days, what a typical accountant would do is to say, I'm spooling this to Excel. Let me remove the analysis. I'm spooling this to Excel, open in Excel, and then the system is just going to, generate all of this, for them. So that is basically what one of the business use cases of AI Copilot in ERP, Business Central, ERP. All right. So the next thing is how we can use the AI, to create a document, numbering system, right? We all know that we might be asked to say, I need you to automate a document for me, right? Let's say a purchase requisition, right? Or a payment requisition form. Many of us, we have done that in our organization, right? But we also know that every document comes with its own unique identifier. So how can we ensure that we use AI to automatically create all of these documents, right? In those days, what a typical accountant would do, or anybody in charge of this creation, is to be doing it, one by one, which is quite, laborious for them to do. When we look at this number series, this is a typical example of several, documents that can be registered in any organization. We can see, all of these are even more than almost, 200 to 300. Right. Imagine somebody have to come in and be doing all of this one by one. That is quite a tedious exercise for such a person. But what if I tell you that with the use of AI, right, I can do this within 5 minutes, even less than that? What I need to know, or what I need to do, is just to be able to, give the system the prompt of, please do this for me. And the system will automatically insert the number, right? So let me use an example. Let me delete this guy. Bank account number. Let me also check for customer. I'm going to delete this as well. Okay, let me use this too. Okay, so let's now use the AI to create the two numbers, right? What I will just say is create number series. Use the terminology to understand. For customer, using CUS as code, right? Description as or customer's description, customer number as description, starting number, which is our document number, starting number as CUS 001, and then ending, and then ending number as a CUS 999. Okay, so let's do this. If I say create, you would see what is likely going to, come up. All right, we can see that automatically the system create two records for us. It uses its intelligence to know that you don't need the customer number alone. You also need the customer contract, right? However, it also suggests to us that the number series for customer contract is already existing. It has been configured. So we do not need this guy. We don't need this. What we only need is the customer record itself. So what I would do is, if I'm okay with the starting number, fine, I can adopt it. But if I'm not fine with the starting number, I can ask the system to say regenerate. What it will do is it will regenerate based on several parameters, right? Let me also delete this line because I don't need it. It's already existing. If I'm okay with the suggestions that the copilot is asking me to do, I'll just say keep it. What it does is the customer record has been added to the system, which is this guy. All right. So this is also another business use cases where AI copilot, can definitely assist, businesses to, fully automate their manual processes, right? We as consultants, we have so many opportunities we can tap in, right? Imagine we have already built, all of this AI using our Copilot Studio, right? We can then begin to, leverage these functionalities. targeting some of the customers that we have implemented for that are using, Business Central or many other ERP solutions that can be integrated with it, right? So these are potential opportunities for us to leverage. All right. There is another one that I would like us to quickly check because of time. This is 221 here, and I wouldn't want to take so much of the time because of the next speaker. All right, so the next one is marketing text suggestions that I would like to show. So this features, AI features is useful for people that are heavy on inventory, right? Maybe we have worked for one retail industry before in the past, right? They have an e-commerce website where they publish, some of their products, right? How can we, if we are using, our organization is using Business Central, how can we integrate or ensure that the marketing test that the system will be generated it will be adapted to what we are able to push to our online platform, right? In this case, instead of racking our brain to look for, how the test is going to be generated, right? How we are going to start, in fact, the job of a content writer in our organization will be super amazing, leveraging the AI functionality. So using the marketing test here, the system tells you that, are you able to draft your marketing test with what? Using AI. If I say draft with Copilot, right? What the system is going to do is what? There are different attributes of the product. This product, Eden's Desk, right? The system uses all of these attributes to create a compelling, product description, so that by the time we are publishing it to our online market store, right, whenever the customer come across the product we are selling, they will look at it that, this is a compelling thing. In Nigeria today, some of us are familiar with GG, we're familiar with Jumia, right? If we look at some of their product online, we'll see that Jumia would compel their vendors, right? To put some of the descriptions into their product so that whenever the buyer come across it, they are able to see that, okay, this is something that I like. This is something that, but with the use of AI, we don't have to, sit down and start typing or racking our head, especially even if we are not good with English, right? The system AI would assist us to do that. And that is exactly what we have seen here. All right. We've seen that the system gives a perfect description of this product, right? Elevate your workspace with Eden's Desk, where style meets functionality. Are you able to edit it in your own way? Yes, you are able to edit it in your own word, right? If you are not also fine with the way and manner that AI has given you all of this marketing test, you can ask it to regenerate for you. And for every time you are regenerating, it will be coming with different content entirely, right? You can even adjust the tone. If you want the tone to be formal, the tone to be casual, the tone to be upbeat, creative, and all of that. If I want it to be casual, I will just simply say casual and regenerate. We can see, right? So basically, we as consultants, right? I believe, we can take opportunity of all of this AI and then see how we can incorporate it into many of the business solutions that we are currently building, right? And again, if our organization is using something like this, it may not be Business Central. We can begin to look at how we can incorporate the AI into all of this. I believe if you're able to present this to any of the marketing team, right, that I saw a solution somewhere. It is called Business Central, right? All the products that we have in our organization, the AI can draft a compelling marketing test. There is no way the sales and marketing team would see this and they would not be wowed about it, right? This is a great opportunity for us to to leverage. So if I want to keep it, I'll then simply say keep it, and automatically we're able to see it from the marketing test interface here. So there are quite a lot of use cases, but because of time again, I would want to limit the use cases here. Now let's talk about Power BI. how does Business Central integrate with Power Platform as a whole? All right. Starting with Power BI application. If I scroll down to my bottom of my home screen or dashboard, I should be able to see the performance chart, right? This is being leveraged using the SSRS SQL Server Reporting Studio to build this. However, we can see that this is a Power BI functionality, right? I'm sure some of us that are heavy on Power BI will be able to think that, how can I take advantage of this opportunity, right? If I expand this guy, expand it. So I can definitely see a lot of analytics, right? The data is already sitting on this application, and then the system is only presenting this report to us. As a payable officer, account payable officer, somebody that actually pays us whenever we need payment to buy something within our organization. And you're asking that, account payable officer, I saw somewhere a reporting dashboard that is automatically embedded in one business central solution, right? It gives you your balance, right? From your dashboard, it gives you, the payables in terms of what you need to pay your vendor, so many buckets can be drawn. The bucket can be in terms of the month, right? It can be quarterly basis, it can be monthly basis, it can be yearly basis, for you to see the historicals of how far or how much you are even owing your vendors, right? This is one of the Power BI that can be integrated with Business Central. If we also look at the age receivable, some of these terminologies we may not also be familiar with it, and we may. Age receivables are people that respond to customers' inquiries promptly. They assist organizations to manage the overall entirety of the customers, day-to-day activity. When you sell, they keep the record of what you sell. When customer pays, they also keep the record of the payment, right? How can you also ensure that you follow up with the customer promptly by ensuring that they are not owing your organization? So you can help your organization, to build this, receivable dashboard where they will be able to track, how much the customer is owing them at a particular specific period of time, right? So this is one of the use cases, a lot of things, profitability ratio, the liabilities that the company is owing, general ledger entries, detailed vendor ledger entries. I know all of these may be quite, the terminology may be quite too complex because we are majorly not financial manager or financial experts. But then again, the purpose of this presentation is to show us that the end game of every of what we are building, whether it is Power Apps, whether it is Power BI, or whether it is AI using Copilot Studio, how are we going to present it to our managers, to our customers in a way that it would make sense to them, and then they will be able to consume what we are doing for them. So that is basically Power BI. I'll also briefly show us
Mr.
Power
Ahmed,
Automate. Yes.
please can you round up, please, sir? Because of the time.
Oh, sure.
The next speaker
Please
wants to come up now.
All right, please give me like 3 to 5 minutes, right? So the Power BI, the Power Platform can be incorporated into this application, right? Let me show you how Power Automate, right? I see a lot of beautiful things that one of our presenters did, especially on employee birthday, right? How can we automate some of these HR processes? There is a functionality here called let me show you related. Sorry. Okay, let me open one. If you look at the automate here, we have a Power Automate. We can create a lot of flows, right? imagine this is a sales document that needs to go to multiple people in our organization, right? We can use it because it's automatically embedded within our Power Automate. We can use it to create dynamic workflow that will definitely reach multiple people, regardless of how the approval should go. And another beautiful thing is because everything is also tightly connected to the Outlook, right? You are able to the approver is able to see the email notification in the Outlook, and they are able to approve from there. So I think I would like to stop from there. But before I say goodbye, for us, if we are interested in learning this, right, there are quite a lot of resources that we can leverage. Sorry, I can share these resources with us to get started with it. Microsoft Learn is a good place, for us to learn about this solution, how it integrates with Power Automate, Power BI, so many things we can do here, and how we can implement, how we can also learn about some of these major, business functions, how we can be productive more, leveraging Copilot, setting up of workspace, collaboration with SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, and all of that. The reporting embedded with Power BI, design Power BI, publish it within the application, administer and develop, extending the Copilot AI, how we can do all of that, monitor, customize, and all of that. So these are basically a good way to start. I'm sure at the end of the whole thing, Benga is going to share these resources with us. Also, YouTube, there are quite a lot of things that Microsoft has done. If we need to learn how the AI is being even extended, there are a lot of resources that can guide us to do that, right? We also have, learning platform that we can leverage, how to integrate AI using developer toolkits, right? All of these are basically things that we can always leverage. If you also want to stay abreast of the latest innovation that are there, we can also follow, this channel. It will always be giving you some of the latest features that Microsoft has done, especially as far as Copilot is concerned, as far as Power Platform is concerned in Business Central and all of that. So I think at this junction, I would like to, stop. There are really a lot of things to say, but the time is really not by our side. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed. You're highly appreciated. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your time. Our time is really fast spent, so we have to be fast. We have two speakers left. We have Chioma Okafo, and we have Edison also. So I will let Chioma Okafo just come on the stage now. I said stage. Okay. So you can take the floor now. She's going to be talking about advancing your data storytelling with Power BI custom visuals. I'm really interested also in this part. I'll also go and watch Mr. Ahmed's part because that Copilot is something I really need to learn also. Thank you, Choma. You can go ahead now.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Benga. Thank you, everyone, all the speakers that have come before me. And thank you, everyone, for staying up to this time. It's not easy. I must really commend you guys. And without wasting much time, I will try so much. In fact, I'm going to cut half of what I plan to do so that we don't spend time. My own is if you can just take one thing away today, I'm okay with it. And I will just quickly share my screen. If you can see my screen, please confirm. Can you see my screen?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So our topic today is elevating your data story with advanced Power BI. My name is Chioma. They've already introduced me. That's the beautiful lady over there. That's my humble self. And then what we are trying to look at, why are we even talking about data storytelling and everything? In fact, the way I look at this now, like practically Power BI has been covered like from A to Z by different speakers. They've done justice to it. And I don't think I need to do much again in trying to explain. I think majority of the things have been said. But my own part now is beyond the normal visuals that we normally do when we go on our Power BI. How can you make it more interesting? How can you make it more interactive? How can you make it more dynamic? How can you start to bring out And okay, and then another thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to try to look at some visuals that we use that are not common. You don't see people use it all the time, but they're powerful because they say a lot of things. They can give you insights even without having to do much. And so that's what I'm going to try to cover today. And then, to be honest, I'm trying to not go through my slides anymore. Maybe this can be shared, but what I'm going to do today is we're going to look at the decomposition tree. That's a very powerful visual in Power BI that people underrate, if you ask me, but there are a lot to get from it. It makes your life easier when you understand that. Another thing I want us to look at is the tree map, and we're going to look at waterfall and slicer, drill down, drill through. We'll stop here. That's what I will do. So I will go straight to my Power BI and just do a demo. So today, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a sample data that we all already use before now. So it's not like we're looking at a new data altogether. I'm just going to use the sample data that we all have in our Power BI, and we'll start up immediately. It's trying to load the data. Okay, I'm just going to bring it in. No need to transfer. I'm going straight to load. Just load it into Power BI and so, like I said, I'm going to start with the decomposition tree. Why I'm starting with this particular visual is that it helps us to look into details about a particular thing that has happened. So, for instance, if we look at this data we're going to look at, it's a financial data set that speaks to a company. We are kind of conversant with that already. That speaks to a company that has a sales order. It's just a typical business environment data set where you have your order, your sales, and every other thing. But this time around, this particular company, they're operating in different zones, in different countries, right? And being that you are the person that is in charge of the data sets, or you're in charge of the analysis, just trying to bring out insights, which is what we do always, you are trying to see how you can narrow down information on a particular aspect. So take, for instance, I'm going to start the decomposition tree now. Take, for instance, every company is very much interested in their profits. I'm going to use the profit, for instance. And if we wanted to get our total profit, we already have a column for total profit. But normally the best practice still is to always use a measure. So I'll just, well, you know what? There's no time. Okay. You know what? Me creating measures doesn't waste time. Okay. So I'm just going to create a measure for total profit. And what I want to do now is I want to look at our profit and try to look into details, the different countries, how we're operating so far, and what we have achieved so far. So first and foremost, I brought up my decomposition tree, and then I'm going to select the total profit, which is what I want to look at, what I want to analyze, right? And then I'm going to explain it by word. It's going to ask me for this other part of the data field. What do you want to explain your data profit? I can say I have different countries. I want to explain by the different countries. I would like to look at it by the products. I also like to look at it by, let's say, for instance, the discount band, right? Now, the good thing about this is it can on its own help you with whatever you want to do. If you look at this, you have a plus sign here. When you click on it, it's going to give you all those fields that we selected that we want to explain it by. And we have the country, the product, the discount band. You can decide to go with just the high value, and Power BI will do those ones for you. But if you are particular, right, let's say you want to look at your total profit by the country, what you can do is just click on the country and it will populate different sections for each country. So if you look at this now, you have France, you have Germany, you have Canada, you have United States, and you have Mexico, right? What is telling me is that for our business, what we have done for since whenever we started collecting this data, that we had the highest profits in France, right? Now let's see. Why are we doing this? That's even the first question. Why are we doing this? We have products that we're selling. We're trying to see how we can make more money, of course, for the company. We're trying to even understand what we have already done so far. We're trying to dig deep to understand, okay, we made so profits. Which country is actually giving us more profits? When we go to the country, we want to still further analyze it. Which of the products do we have that is giving us more profits? And so we continue to break it down. We continue to break it down up to, it depends on the number of views you want to analyze it with. The essence of doing this is that at the end of the day, we want to see, okay, in this case now, for instance, we had a discount band. Discount, they had different discounts where they had the times when they made sales and there was no discount. They had sales and there was a low discount. They had sales and there was medium and high, right? Now, we are trying to see when we made these sales and when we classified which of them gave us more profits. By the time we look at this using the composition tree, you'll find out that overall, France gave us more profits, followed by, and then when you want to look at the different products that we sold and then the different profits that we made, you can see that peso was the highest product that we sold for France. It might be different when we go to another country, right? And then we go back, when we did the discounts, did we really have any impact? Yes. When we had the low discount, it had much impact. This is telling us a lot of story. By the time you start doing your storytelling or your insights, when you start writing your report, there is a lot to take out. This alone can even help you with suggestions. Okay, if this country is doing well when we do so things, we monitor over time, then perhaps whenever we want to raise more money, maybe we should do low discount band. Maybe we should increase the number of products that are going to this and put a price tag to it and the discount on it, you know. Likewise, if you want to look at a situation, if you want to look at um, in this case now, the least country that brought in profit for us is Mexico. It could be attributed to so many reasons, right? But then when we look further down, we want to understand why is Mexico not doing so well like the other countries. Okay, by if we want to classify it by the product, which product is really not selling or which one is still selling more. If you look at this now, peso is still doing very well in Mexico. So we can see overall peso is a very good product for us. But this value, why is, this composition tree simply it's helping you to go into details. I'm going to stop here for this. The next other chart visual that I want us to use is the waterfall, sorry. The waterfall is another beautiful visual, if you ask me, that we should start using if we are not already using it, because it says a lot of things. And in this case, I just want to talk about total sales. Where's my sales again? Where are you? Okay, now I want to look at my total sales by maybe still country. When I look at this visual kind of gives me like a hierarchy. From this, I can see United States is doing so well, followed by Canada in terms of sales. Mind you, when we looked at this, we were looking at profits. Irrespective of the fact that United States seems to have been doing better, the profit that we got was better off with France. So these are the things you want to start looking into and start asking so many questions. And that's where your storytelling starts to get interesting and your insight starts to become more beautiful. Another thing I want us to look at is this other visual, the tree map. The tree map is another beautiful visual. I like it because it gives you like information on different hierarchies. So what do I mean by this? If you look at this visual again, I would like to look at use sales again. when we calculate our sales by, let's say, segments, want to look at the sales by segment, you can see that without being told, without being told that government is doing better, followed by small business. But beyond this, how about now that I know government is doing better, can I still look at products that are actually pushing this government? I can bring in the products again, and then this time around, when I look at government, it's still telling me a story that peso is doing better. It's giving me like a further breakdown on the segments. This is another beautiful thing about this. Another thing I want us to start looking at again is metrics. When you look at metrics, a lot of us use metrics, and then I'll still try to come up with maybe, let's say, sales by, I don't know, segments, still segment products. This is beautiful. But if you want to even make it more interesting, to make it, because what is very typical is that people want to be looking at sales, want to be looking at visuals. They make more sense from visuals and storytelling. That's the typical thing. If you come and you're pushing numbers in front of people, they're not making sense out of it. So when you have something like this, because metrics is a powerful thing that brings in so many components at the same time. When you have visual like this, another thing you can do to just help me to make it look better could be maybe using what we call the spark lines, which we already know. Spark lines, we can just bring in our spark lines here and say a spark line, and we want to look at it, the x-axis by the dates, just to see the progress. And then I'm going to bring in my dates and say create. And we have something like this. Now, this is metrics that we have brought in some level of visuals to still make it look good. If you want to even still move further and do something on these spark lines, you can decide to maybe pinpoint maybe where you had your highest sales or whatever, and you can indicate that just to make it more appealing and to start making sense to whoever that is looking at it, and that is it. Now, what I want to bring to and talk about now is how do we link up this whole thing. Now, if we go back to this visual, I wouldn't have time to start doing any decoration or anything because this is not what I want to, that's not the aim. The aim is, if you look at this visual now, this is sales by country. I want to see how, if I want to go further and look into this country, how do I get more insight into this country? I can decide to create this other page here where I already have my products and segments. And then I can decide to link this up and tie it to this other page where I have my country. So what can I do? This is where we talk about drill through. What I would do, I go on this visual, I try to, if you scroll down on your visual plane, where you have the art drill through views, I can decide to drill this further down by the country. And once you do this, let me reduce this. Once you do this, Power BI automatically brings out this arrow, which is kind of already saying, take me back, because Power BI understands that drill through simply means I want to navigate from a particular page to the other page. When you are building visuals, you want to try and maintain as much as possible a particular visual that speaks to everything. Now, if you have more visuals that you want to speak to, you want to put it in other pages. And what you can do is to now drill through to those pages to give you more details on that visual. And in this case now, I want to drill through to this page to have more information on my segments and my products. And because I want to drill through to this page, I have already told Power BI, whenever I go to my country, take me to this place. I will go back and always make sure this is used as category. And then go back to your page 2. And then you go to the data point where you have your country, which in this case is this. Right click, you will see this option that says drill through. So it's going to say drill through to where? At the moment, the only page that I've actually activated to be drilled through to is page 3, which is this page here. And that's why I say it here. If I have other pages, then it will show, and then you have to choose the one you want to drill through to. And then I can say drill through to page 3. Now, what is happening is, if I'm here and I want to go to this page and look at anything, let's say for Canada, I drill to page 3, and then it gives me information. This whole information will be speaking to Canada. Another thing that I want us to look at, which is very powerful, is the slicer function. I'm going to create another page for slicer. Most times, I like to put it on the first page, depending on how robust your report is. Slicers will make your life easier. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a slicer. And then in this case, I'm trying to look at our discount band, where we had different discount bands. And then I'm going to, oh my God, you know what? You can always beautify this, you can always make this, just go to your format and do that. We don't have time. But let me get to where I'm going to. I can create a slicer that when I click on this, it should affect all the pages that I've created. In order to do that, I need to go to my view. I need to go to my sync slicers. And then I'm going to give, right now on page 4, that's where I have my slicers, right? But I want it to affect every other report page that I have. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to my sync slicers and I'm going to say, please sync my page 1, page 2, and page 3. Now you can decide, this sign means you want to sync it to this other pages. So whatever I'm doing here affects every other page. Otherwise, if I don't want to show it, this icon here shows I want it to be visible. If I go on this other pages now, you're going to see the slicer. But whenever you're doing analysis, you're trying to make sure that you don't use up so much space. So what you can do is you go back there and try to no, I don't want to choose, and try to make it invisible. So what I've successfully done is that I have a slicer on page 4 that will affect every other page, but they are not going to be, it's not going to be visible on those pages. So let me go back to this place. Let me go back to this place. I'm going to do something. I'm going to bring in a card data so that when I'm making those changes, it becomes very obvious. I'm going to bring in my card data and I'm going to bring in my total profits. That's the only measure I have now. Let me use that. Okay. If I go back to my slicer now, if I want to understand what has happened over the different discount bands, what was my profit, just to understand overall what happened. If I select the high and then I go to page 1, I go to page 2, you'll find out that my total profits, while my discount bar was high, was 16.89. Likewise, when I go back again and then I select none, I expect that my total profits will change. Okay, something is wrong. I hope I am not selecting any other thing. Let me clear all the filters to be sure nothing is selected anywhere. Okay. Yeah. So when I go back again and I select low, I expect my profit to change. Something is wrong, and okay, let me go back and see. Sync my slices. Sorry. It's synced. So why is it not changing? Okay, now I need to understand what's happening. You know what? Just so that I don't delay us.
Are you trying to check box? Maybe that will work.
Which one?
When you get to the slicer.
It seems like there's something in the background that is, because right now it's not, I don't have anything selected. So when I go to,
when you click on the sync slicer, that's box that comes out.
Checked everything. So I really don't know why.
What about the vision symbol? There are other boxes there. That one does not need to be checked, right?
Symbol. Okay, well, the vision symbol is just to show my slicers on the other pages. If I select it now, then I can see the slicers. But I just don't want to see it on all the pages. That's why I remove it.
Okay.
But I don't know why it's okay. I feel like something is selected somewhere, and that's why it's not interacting with that visual. But I'll try to create another card. Let me see what happens. I'm trying to see. No, I must not waste our time. Okay. Okay. When I click on this slicer that is on this page, it changes, but it's not changing for this. Something is wrong, but the truth remains that it's supposed to change at this point whenever I select it. So I really don't know what's happening. Maybe I'll try to do this again and see if this works. Hopefully it works now, because that's what I want to achieve. By the time I select that, it should work. That's interesting. Okay. I don't want to waste our time any further, but I will try and understand what happened, but that's what it's supposed to do. Anyway, another thing I wanted us to talk about, and then I'll end there for today, is the drill through. The drill through is another powerful visual, not drill through now, drill down is another powerful visual. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use our dates. Drill down works with hierarchies. So let me use our date, for instance, where you have your year. The next thing that comes in the hierarchy is the quarter, the month, and the day. But if, for instance, you want to look at your total sales, I want to look at my total sales, and then I want to look at it using the hierarchy dates. What I'm trying to do is I want to look at total sales and be able to drill down to different levels. So take, for instance, I'm going to go up because right now it's on the last. This is total sales by year, and I can see 2023, 2023, no, 2013 and 2014. These icons here helps us to drill down. This, when we click on this, it takes us to the next level. So if I click on this now and I begin to drill down, This gives me our sales by month, by quarter. So this quarter will be because from what I see, we have 2013 and 2014. This quarter will give me 2013 and 2014 quarter one, like the whole sum for all the Q1s. This is what our Q1, this is what our performance looks like. Likewise, if I drill further down, it's going to give me by the months. Now, if I want to go up, I go back to my drill up. I don't want to use this particular one, which takes me to the next level. I want to go with this other expand all down. This expands all the hierarchy by one level down. So if I go on this, I want to look at 2014 and then I click down, it's going to give me all the hierarchies down. So what it means is, in this case, is that when I'm using this visual, I don't need to start creating a visual for sales by year, sales by quarter, sales by month. I can just create one visual that speaks to different things. Now, this can be applied to other hierarchical situations. Let's say, for instance, where you have region, zone, let's say continent, Africa, and then you're looking at the different countries, Nigeria, and then you're looking at the different states. That's like a hierarchy. So this kind of drill down works with those kind of hierarchy. So if you have a data set that has something that has to do with hierarchy, it's always best to use a drill down function so that way you can drill it down and say so many things about that data set without having to do each visual for each one. And with that, I think I will stop for today. Okay, one more thing, custom visuals. Custom visuals are the visuals that are not already like typical what we have in our Power BI. Custom visuals are those ones the visuals that are already certified and accepted by Microsoft Power BI for Power BI visuals. And those ones, more like some of them you have to get them, some of them are free. If you want to import such visuals, you simply go to your Get More Visuals. I'm going to introduce us to one that I've been exploring recently. At least what I do, it gives me insight, and then I kind of go ahead and do what I want to do, but still using that. One very popular, there are so many of them. We have the word cloud, we have Zebra BI is another very popular one, but then we have the Info River Analytics. Yeah, that's it. This particular visual, it's so interesting because it's kind of has AI capabilities in it, and you can just even use just it to build your whole visuals from A to Z. Okay, I think that's the info river analytics. If I go on it and click this, I'm going to collapse this. If you look at this visual, you have charts, you have cards, you have tables, you have storyboards, you have view charts. If you go on that, it's like a mini BI tool inside Power BI. When you go on the charts, you have options to select different charts, the cards, the table. But another interesting one is the storyboard. So you can easily just use the storyboard and it kind of gives you an overview of what your data set is like. So I can go ahead and say, click on build me a storyboard. There are so many things in this particular visual. But let me, for sake of time, I'm just going to look at storyboards. Okay, now do not waste my time. Okay. It's actually hanging. Anyway, if you have time, you want to look at this particular visual. It speaks a lot. It has a lot of info in it. You have the visualization panes, you have the multiple pane. It can give you a lot of visuals that are kind of standalone and you can just work with it. You know, it depends on what is acceptable in your company or the business that you're dealing with. But for me, it kind of also helps with a lot of insights, and they kind of use very, very interesting charts for their for their insights and displays. I think with that, I will come to the end of my section. If you have any questions, please throw it my way, but I know we don't have much time again. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Chioma. I have a question.
Yes,
for you.
please.
The waterfall chart, if I tell you I
Yes.
don't really know what it does, I've not used it before.
So
I saw that stuff going up and up and up, and then there's the last one that is longer than the rest. So I really want to
yes,
understand what that represents, like what I can use that waterfall for.
yes. So if you look at the water charts, I'm bringing up the visual. Okay. Okay, you see my screen, right? So
No.
if you look at the visual,
Your screen is not coming up yet.
do you see it now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So if you look at this waterfall chart now, what it's telling me is that this is the total sales that we made. But now it has broken it down by section. So for United States, this is the total sales we made for United States. For Canada, if I put on my data, my tooltip is on. For United States, we made about 25 million. For Canada, we had 24. So by the time we do a cumulative, it gives you this. Now, in this case, we do not have any, it's more like an increase. We do not have any decrease, right? So that's why you don't see this decrease right here. If we had like a state that maybe we had a target and we did not meet, it will show. But in this case, we are doing fine and we're just like, progressing. There's a lot that the waterfall does, but this is just like the facial, very simple overview of it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Is there anyone that has questions for Chioma? Anyone? Okay, if there's no one, I believe they will watch the video. I think they're satisfied with what you've done. Thank you so, so much for your time. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I know that the way the world is going now, using default visuals alone it will not make your Power BI report to be well packaged or to be well, just to be presentable. So to do something extra, it's important to use custom visuals, not just rely on the default ones alone. Thank you so much for that. Our last speaker for today, Edison, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Let me turn my video on.
Okay, please.
Let me confirm
Turn
you
your
can see me.
video.
Okay. All right. So, being the last speaker, let me see if I can be able to squeeze this in within the short time that we have. My topic is basically around Power Apps and in extension Power Platform, because a lot of our discussion has been about the tools in Power Platform, and honestly speaking, a lot of speakers have done a very good job detailing exactly what we have in Power Platform. So I would just save us the time and try as much as possible to be brief. All right, so let me share. Let me know when you can see my screen. I just shared my screen.
Your screen is clear.
Okay, so basically, what we have here is just understand what Power Apps does. Power Apps, obviously, it's a tool within Power Platform. So how do we use Power Platform to better our businesses, to streamline business processes, and learn automation and using it to enhance our processes, then discover how to integrate Power Apps into other Power Platform tools. So I will just breeze through this slide. So what is Power Apps? Power Apps has to do with a low-code tool within the Power Platform, and we'll have three major parts of this Power Apps. Have the Canvas app, the model-driven app, and the Portals application. I will take when we are to show us all of these so that we can get closer look at them. And also, it helps us to enable rapid development with minimal coding. That's basically why.
Sorry for interrupting, Edison.
Okay.
You are sharing presenter mode.
Yes.
So yeah. So what you're sharing is in presenter mode. Maybe you can unshare and then.
Sorry, let me move that back. Okay. Let me share the screen. Okay. Is it the same thing now?
Yes, it says you are using external screen.
Yes, I'm using external screen.
So what you will do is the other screen does not have this presenter mode.
Oh, that's why. Okay. So let me just unplug so that it's easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. I will share now. Is it okay now?
Perfect.
Okay, good. All right. So what we need to understand is basically how we can use Power Apps to better our businesses. And the key things that we need to bear in mind is how we can use it to automate processes, to enhance collaboration between teams, and also do a kind of a rapid development. So Power Apps helps us to be able to break things in bits and be able to have it in different small pockets that then we can actually make things work better and enable smooth running of the business once you're able to develop these small pockets of applications to take care of some kind of the businesses that we do. Now, designing and building Power Apps is very, very key because you have to plan very well, because you are running a business and you don't want to mess things up. One of the major things you need to do is to plan and you gather your requirements. And I hammer this a lot when I talk about requirement gathering. I've had occasions where we'll go back and forth with the internal team about, okay, this is what I requested in the first place. Why is it not there? This back and forth meeting that you will have with different departments on, this feature is missing, that feature is not missing. So all of those things need to be sorted out at the stage one, because it's very, very key, right? When you're able to develop and then you go back to demo and they tell you that, this feature is missing, that means you are going back to ground zero and you don't want to have that. So planning and requirement gathering is very, very important. Now, when you do your prototyping, it's more like, okay, what will I need to make sure that these requirements are met? Right? You can actually draft things. You can use Figma or whatever tool. You can even scrap in a sheet of paper to make sure you kind of imagine how you want the app to look, right? And then you go into building the app. Now, building the app, I will go into that very briefly, and I will kind of show us how the environment and everything looks. But building the app is something everybody can do. It's like something nowadays, Microsoft makes it very, very easy. You can just get your data source ready, and then once you click it, Copilot helps you to, build the app out of just your data, and that makes the whole thing easy. So you also, after that, you go into your testing and iteration, and testing and iteration is actually something you can do by yourself, but sometimes it's better when you have other people involved and get that done. If you are talking about small businesses, in other big companies, there are policies about user testing and all of those things and all, and they are well documented and maybe shipped across multiple environments as well. So that is very, very, very important. Then you go over to the final stage, which is deployment and monitoring. Deployment is you sharing the app to the key users, and it's also very, very important because you want to share it within a secure environment. You don't want some kind of data going over to the people that you don't want it to go over to. So there are ways you can share within the group or the kind of users that you want to share with, and some of these features are also in the Power App Studio for you to enable you do all of those. Then monitoring. So whenever a Power Apps is in use, it's always important to monitor, the progress, the usage. What are the people talking about? What are the things the users want to see, and all of that. So I don't think there's any app that you build today and you ended that, you ship it that day and you ended that day. No. So sometimes some application gets better over time. Look at, for example, the way we have Facebook. The first day we have Facebook is not the same way it's looking now, because there's been iteration over time, and that comes from proper monitoring to understand what users are complaining about or what users want to see. So that is a very key stage as well. And now we'll talk about integration with other, Microsoft tools. Power Automate is like the engine that makes Power Apps tick. You are going to need Power Automate definitely, because you want to automate processes. So Power Apps is more like a user interface that you see things, they can actually collect data, or you can move things around, you can actually look at visuals and all of that. But what makes the entire app work, the functional part of the app, it's basically what you can do with Power Automate. And there are inbuilt integrations for all of that. Also, there is options for Power BI as well, and then Power Virtual Agent, which is now Copilot chats. So that's, I think, a lot of people have talked about today. Power Apps, Power BI, Power Virtual Agent. So we're going to see how we can, look at those as well. Now, these are some of the common use cases you can, use within the businesses, because what we're talking about today is more like how we can use Power Apps to, make our business processes, enhance our business processes. And these are like the few apps that you can actually build out of, regular business processes, right? And today, I want to demo something from the employee onboarding and offboarding, right? And there are so many other options, so many things that can be done regarding with Power Apps. And we'll have some more options here as well. When you want to do time and attendance, I use one application in one of my former roles where anywhere you open the app, you log in, it takes your time. All those are also, very, very easy to do with Power Apps. And visitor management. I did one application one time where a manufacturing company wants to, regulate movement of goods within the in and out of the company, something like visitor management, to know what kind of things are, how goods are moving and all of that, to track the movement of goods and visitors as well. So there are so many ways you can use, Power Apps to kind of enable business efficiency, and you just outlined a few of them here. So common and best practices that we have when you're using, you have to be able to get a user-centric design. Design is very, very important. So sometimes it's not about building the app because you know that people need to use this, but do they want to be there? There are some applications that you open it today, you don't want to go back there the next day, not because they are not useful, but they are not welcoming. So you really need to make sure that it has a very good, nice looking interface. Sometimes you don't overblow it, just keep it minimal, sometimes depending on requirements. But the major thing is efficiency, to make sure that it properly works. But then you cannot sacrifice, good looking user-centric design on just because you want to push up efficiency. Two of them work hand in hand. So iterative development, always, being able to add more things based on user experience and what they're complaining about is very important. Then responsiveness. Always know that people are going to log into the application with different devices. You're not going to be sitting over them to make sure that they use desktop, or they use a different kind of screen, a particular kind of screen, a wide screen. But people will log in maybe using their mobile phones or their tablets and all of that. So mobile responsiveness is very, very important. It's key. You just have to make the application responsive to a different range of screens so that it's easy for everybody who is using it. Then data governance and security, which is very, very key. Data governance and security is more like what I touched earlier. It's when you are, putting this application out, that it's going out with some kind of data, and you want to know who that data will be available to, who could have read rights over it, who could be able to, see some kind of data, who could be able to write some kind of data. And all of those things are very, very important, especially in an organization that prioritizes their business. You need to make sure that some certain information stay within some certain group, and that's very important as well. So for our demonstration today, I want to use employee onboarding for us. So let me quickly go into that and see how far we can go. We have this application. It's employee onboarding. I did this earlier, and it's a very simple thing anybody can do. You just have to understand how, to put the data source together. That's the most important thing. I always tell people, now apps make it easier for people to come up with apps very easily. But one thing you must know how to do is to put up your your data source to make sure that it's in good shape before you come to this stage. So it's easy. What you need to do first of all is to create your data source before you could be able to come to this. This is a simple onboarding process. When HR is employing somebody, they need to just go over to put the person name, do the person have a certification, compliance completed, what department is the person in, email, employee ID, regular things that HR folks will ask for, right? So this is supposed to go, how the app is designed is supposed to go from stage to stage. For example, if after, somebody's coming in and the person that's coming in, the name has been imputed, and they need to make sure that the person has some kind of certification or compliance completed. The HR person might not be the person to be able to do that. And this is where tools like Power Automate comes in. You need to be able to send a notification to somebody else in another department to be able to confirm that this person has social certification, this person has completed social training, all of those things. And this is where it's important integrating Power Apps with other Power Platform tools comes into play, right? Because eventually you want to know, you want to push this process, make it a process. If this person is filling in this form, once they are done, then it goes over to the next person. This can be made, it can easily be done using Power Automate. So quickly, let's go over to, let me quickly run through this so that we can easily understand what we are doing. So if you go here and you go to Power Apps, so they go to Power App Studio and you want to create. So this is the onboarding, the one I showed you. I could do something like onboarding. It could be the same app, but I can do it differently so that we understand the process that went through it. Now you can say you start with data. And when you start with data, Power Apps will show you options. Do you want to create new table? Do you want to use existing table? Do you want to connect to external data? If you're connecting to external data, it's going to show you options to connect to a wide range of data sources. So it depends on what you want to do. Now, the options we have here, it's coming from Dataverse, which is what we have. So you go to Dataverse and we use employee onboarding. right? Which is the one where we did. Go to create app, and immediately it will create the app. There's no two ways about this. Now, what I need also to us to be able to, for us to talk about after this is how we'll be able to create that data source, which I mentioned earlier. And I'm trying to hammer on that because I think it's very, very key. A lot of people need to understand, especially for Dataverse. Dataverse is not, it's an option, but I think it's more of like the number one option when you talk about Power Platform. So a lot of people want to be able to have options to use different kind of data source, but what is number one in that list would definitely be Dataverse. But not everybody, is accustomed to, Dataverse and all of that. So maybe I'll take a moment to talk about that as well. So this is how a typical Power Apps Studio looks like, and this is for Canvas app. And I would explain some of the features that we find here. So you have this option where you can see all the, if you have to add a screen, this shows you all the different parts of the application you are building. If you want to add multiple screens, you can use any of these ones views here, right? And if in the screen you want to add any components or anything that you think that your app feature that your app will need, there are so many options like that you can pick from this button. And then you can also play with the themes of your app. You can actually, pick whatever color, and it changes everything as you are, moving it around. Now, you can also add multiple data source. Now, you remember that we started with employee onboarding, we have options to add more. And while we are adding, you can be able to, reference the data source that you're using within your application. So now that we are talking about data source, let me use this moment to show us a quick thing about, this data source. Now, if you go to tables, now you want to set up a new table. Okay, let me switch to the environment. Okay. So now, like I said, Copilot made everything easy for us, right? You can actually build one by one if you want, or you can, start afresh. But sometimes it's easier to see things from, another perspective. So sometimes I decide to, go in to use data to describe the columns. That works as well. So I have a list of columns already populated here. I can just select a few of them, and you can see how the Copilot can easily create these columns easily. So all right, so we'll give it some time. Most times you might not be able to get all of the columns in, so you just have to monitor to make sure that you have all the required columns. And if it's not all, you can manually add the ones that it missed. Otherwise, you can also create it yourself. There are options for you to create using, new column. Just click on new column, and then you start adding the details, which I will be able to show us as well. Let's give it some more time. Okay, while that is going on, because of time, let me just go over to the studio to talk about some of the features that we have in Power Apps. So here you can, toggle back if you want to, just like you want to do your Control Z, you can use this feature as well, and you have a drop down that you want to redo or undo, and you can copy and paste and all of those. Then some of the key things that I think I don't want to miss, this is where you can share whatever it is. When you are done, you want to share, and for your team to start using, you can use that. Then we'll have App Checker. App Checker, when you have an error in your app, it usually pops, you have a notification sign here that shows you, and when you click on that, it can redirect you to the part of your app that you have issues with. So you can actually click here, then it leads you exactly to the part of the app that you need to look at, and so it gives you suggestions on what to look for. Now, this is when you want to put your app in play mode while you are working on it. If you want to really look at it, you can actually put it in play mode, and when you don't, you can now bring it back up. Then you can actually look at it in different screen types. That's when I talk about resolution. If you want to look at the app in different screen types or how you want it to look, is easy for you to do. So all of those features are here in the Power App Studio. Now, when you also want to, before your teammates who can be able to use this application, you must first of all publish. So if it's not published, it's just basically within your own scope. So that is very, very important. Let's see if the pilots, oh, okay, this didn't work. It's taking too much time now. Okay. Let me show you the manual process of doing this. So you can actually, create new table. You can add columns. It's just very easy. And then just as you have it, you want to create a relationship while you are doing that, you can as well do that. So you can come to new column, and then you mention the name of the column that you want to do. Let's say this is name. And you can select the data type of, the column you want to. For in this case, we are talking about name, so will be test. And you want to, whether that name is required. Of course, it's a mandatory field, so you can enter that and you save. It's just that easy, right? You can do this for as much columns as you want, but then also have in mind that different columns have different data types, and I will take time to talk about the data type because it's very, very important, especially in Dataverse. Data types, we have different kind of data types, and under test, you have the plain test, the test area, and the rest of it, and you also have the number. Under number, you have different formats under number, the decimal, float, whole number, and the rest of it. Then under date, you have the date and time and date only. This is also very, very important. Sometimes if you are, trying to create a dot column and then you create a date only column, and then you require time, that requires time, that column would actually need time, then it wouldn't work. So you need to be very, very important, sure. Then lookup columns will help you look up to different field. For example, I have table 1 and table 2 on screen. When you are creating a lookup column, you want to call a certain field or a certain value from table 2, for example. You can, so from table 1, because I'm creating on table 2, you can easily do that using lookup column. And then you have choice. Now, choice is something that sometimes gets tricky. Especially in Dataverse, you have the yes and no choice. I also have the choice. So with choice, you can only select one, right? But under choice, you have option to select multiple, what's it called? Multiple options. And under that, once you make it select multiple options, you take this on, it's no longer known as choice. It's now known as choices. So sometimes it's kind of confusing, but it's when you're working with this kind of data, it's just for you to, it's very, very key for you to, know how these things are termed, and you'll be able to manage it. And once you're able to come up with your data source, and that is good, you'll be able to easily go over to Power Apps. Let's go over to Power Apps. And then you can, go over to create, and you can decide to pull your record. Let's say you want to create an app. You can pull your record from wherever data you want it to come from, which is basically what I did earlier on. You can connect to the source you want, or you can, pick an external data source, whatever that you work based on what you're working on. So that is easier for you. So once you click this, the Power Apps Studio looks at the structure of your data and automatically builds out the first layer of app that you would require. And that's basically how this came about. Now you can go ahead and add your own features. That's what I'm saying. Everybody could do it, right? Because once you have this, you have a working template, and you can add and remove what you want. Example, quickly, when this was created, you can either come in here. Let's say you want to, this is the job role. Let's say you wanted to show the person's email. It's simple. You come here and you change it to their email, something like that, and it pops up back easily. So there are so many modifications you can make. Say, for example, you don't want users to be able to interact with this record, to edit it once it is created. You can actually go and play on the different properties of that component and try to hide it depending on the condition that you want to apply. For example, only people in HR can see it. You come here and you easily change it. So if you use an if condition, right? So there are so many things that we can do using Power Apps in order to push our business further, to optimize the processes, business processes, and all of that. But then you can't be able to utilize some of the core functions of Power Apps without integrating it with other Power Platform tools, which is basically one of the things that some of the speakers have mentioned earlier. Power Automate is very, very important. Just at the back, you can easily go to Power Automate and then call out this table if you want to directly pick from the table, or you can actually use what's it called, directly from inside the Power App Studio. There are so many options that you can do. Now, on the order of that, let me just take us through the other types of Power Apps that we know. So we have the one I showed you is the Canvas app, and we have what we call Power Pages. So Power Pages is more like Power Apps, but then it allows users to interact from outside the organization. That's basically the function, because most Power application requirement is that it's within the organization. Most of the apps you are building is within an organization. But an exception to that is Power Pages. Power Pages is more like a website, but only deals with Dataverse. So there's no other, you can actually, be able to, if you want to build something out of the ecosystem, you can. But if you want to deal with your organization data and you want outsiders to be able to interact with it, then Power Pages is your best tool. And in what situation can you be able to use Power Pages, especially when you want to maybe run like a loyalty scheme for your customers? Maybe you have a situation where you want your customers to share their opinion about whatever tools or whatever goods you are selling, right? You want to be able to collect that information within your organization's database, right? So it's not something you want to put outside, then imagine now start planning on how to move the data around. No. So in that situation, this is what Power Pages can do for you. Now, the other option we have is the model-driven app. So the model-driven app is more like an opposite of Power Pages. It's somehow an opposite of Power Pages and somehow an opposite of Canvas application. And I'm going to explain why. So in Canvas, you're able to play with codes, you're able to change features, you're able to do a lot of things freely. You can change anything that you want to change. But what you're looking at now is a model-driven app, and it just pulls your data schema and be able to structure things around for you based on your organization's data. Now, the difference now is that outsiders don't have access to it, and you cannot also make all the changes you can if you're working with Canvas. Right? So that's like a different application. It's very, very important. That's what most business processes rely on these days, because it's kind of very strict in terms of you can apply a lot of strict measures in order to guide business processes. So it's also very, very important. So I think I would try to round up at this point. I know a lot of people have talked about Power Platform deep into Power Platform, but one thing I want us to understand is Dataverse is. I think if I have a lot of time, I would have want to go deep into Dataverse. A lot of us that work with Power Platform might find it difficult, going into Dataverse, understanding how it relates to all the other different kinds of Power Platform tools that we have. So if if there's any for resources, if you want to learn more about any of these, please, you can go to either there's a Power Apps documentation. You can actually go and sign up to the Power Platform community, or then definitely go to Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn is has very rich data for anything related to Power Platform. So that will be all from my side. If there's any question, please let me know.
Edison, thank you so much. It's been a really long day.
Of course.
It's been a really long day. We started 10 a.m. and this is 3:41. Wow, it's been a really long day. 7 speakers. The first Global Power Platform Bootcamp in Winnipeg. Thank you, Edison. Thank you for your presentation. I know you had more to present, but you were just trying to manage the
there's
time.
not much time, but then it's
Because I know
okay.
if you
Next
start
time we
diving
can go deep
into
into it.
yes, if you want to really dive into data, in fact, data verse on its own, you can use the entire day to describe it. Like
On talking about Dataverse,
the
right? Honestly.
yeah, views and forms and all of those things. It's just a lot. Relationship between tables and how you can ingest data to become a database table. So it's a
Yeah.
lot. Thank you so much for the basic exposure, right? So this is a call to everyone that Power Platform ecosystem is a lot. There are so many career paths that one can bring out from Power Platform. You can be a Power Apps developer. You can be an automation specialist. You can decide to, go into the Power BI routes and be a Power BI developer. Just like Mr. Ahmed, you can become a Dynamics 365 specialist, right? So it all depends on what area or what niche are you going to be carving for yourself. It's really, really interesting to ring out a career. No, and there are some people that are Power Platform developers. So that does not mean like they must know. So don't be scared of that part. If they say developer Power Platform, it does not mean that they know all the tools and all the applications inside of Power Platform, because that is a lot. So I want to really thank everyone for staying by. Some people joined us from 10 a.m. and they are still here. In fact, they deserve accolades a lot. It has been interesting. It has been really interesting. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Um, we would like to give like 2 people free voucher for those that are interested in writing PL 300. If there's anybody here that wants to write their PL 300, we have 2 vouchers to give out as a gift. If there's anybody here that wants to write PL 300, please just reach out to me, either on LinkedIn, either on the chat section here, or just say hi. Thank you once again, everyone. Today we have come to the end of the Power Platform Bootcamp in Winnipeg, Manitoba. This year it's virtual. By God's grace, next year it's not going to be virtual. So it's going to be the 2 full days. We have the Friday will be virtual, the Friday, Saturday is going to be physical. So we have a better planning next year towards this program. And we are also encouraging students from all over Manitoba, students from University of Winnipeg, Red River College, MITT, University of Manitoba, and every other post-secondary school that we have in the whole of Manitoba. We are encouraging them to join the Winnipeg Power Platform user group so that they can learn about the more on Power Platform, and also how they can, start a career in Power Platform. So before you go, I'm also going to drop this. So if there's anyone that's interested in any Power Platform job opportunity, you can actually drop your resume on this link or by scanning the barcode you are seeing on the screen. So for the next 30 to 40 seconds, if you can just do that, scan the barcode or just type the link on your computer system or on your mobile device, you can apply or just drop your resume there. Somebody from Upzoid might actually reach out to you if they have projects they want to work on, or they have they need maybe they need extra hand or they need full-time hand. So that is just it for today, guys. I'm so happy that we are ending this on a good note, and all the 7 speakers were able to present, do all their presentations. My name remains Benga Adeyemo. Thank you very much for staying by. For those that are interested in the voucher, please reach out to me. And for those that have been here since morning, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Some people joined from Nigeria and they are still here since 10 a.m. Kudos to everyone, man. This is really encouraging. So see you guys again next year. Thank you. Bye.